Children, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We had completed fertilization in the previous class, and now we are going to learn what are the different changes taking place once fertilization is completed. So once fertilization is completed, you know that once fertilization gets completed, some changes are taking place in the flower. So what are those changes taking place? The petals, sepals, stamens, style, stigma, all these will shrivel and fall off. They will dry and they will fall off. Petals, sepals, stamen, style and stigma will wither off. And ovule and ovary will remain. Except ovule and ovary, all the other parts will fall off. And what is happening to the ovule? Ovule will develop a tough covering around it and it will form the seed. Ovule will develop a tough coat around it and it will form seed. Whereas the seed, whereas the ovary will change into fruit. Once again, ovule develops a tough coat and forms the seed. And the ovary will develop into fruit. And inside the seed, future embryo, so not future embryo, future plant or the embryo. You know that once fertilization is completed, zygote has formed. It is inside the ovule. This zygote will develop and form the embryo. Embryo, you can even call it as a future plant. Why do you call it as a future plant? Because it is this embryo that develops into a new plant. Upon getting suitable conditions, or it will germinate, the seed will germinate and form a new plant. And the ovary ripens and form a fruit. So ovary becomes fruit and ovule becomes a seed. Ovary changes into fruit, ovule becomes the seed. Once again, once fertilization is completed, petals, sepals, style, stigma, etc. will shrivel and it will fall off. Now these parts are no longer needed. Now what is needed? What are the points or what are the factors or what are the parts that are needed? Ovule and ovary. What happens to the ovule? It will develop a tough coating or a tough covering and it will change into seed. And inside the seed, what do we have? The future plant, or else you call it as embryo. The future plant or embryo will be present within the seed. And seed will germinate and form a new seedling when it gets appropriate conditions. And what happens to the ovary? Ovary will change into fruit. It will ripen and becomes the fruit. So ovule changes into seed. Ovary becomes fruit. Ovule is inside the ovary. Fruit is inside the, seed is inside the fruit. So ovary becomes fruit. Ovule becomes seed. And ovule is present inside the ovary. Clear? Can I proceed? Now we are going to learn about the structure of a seed. And there are two types of seeds, monocot seed and dicot seed. Do you know what are monocots and dicots, children? Monocots and dicots? Monocot or monocotyledon. In 11th standard, in 9th standard you might have learned cotyledons. Monocotyledons and dicotyledons. Can anybody tell me the picture given here is a monocot seed or a dicot seed? Anybody? Is this a monocot or a dicot?
Dicot.
Dicot. Why? Because it's having two cotyledons. When two cotyledons are there, it's a dicotyledon. Whereas rice, wheat, all those are monocotyledons. Only one cotyledon. You take a rice grain and if you try to divide into two equal halves, you cannot separate it. But if you take a gram seed, remove the skin, you will get two equal parts there. So those are cotyledons. So this is a dicotyledon, dicotyledonous seed or a dicot seed. And generally, whether it is a monocote or a dicote, the seed contains an embryo. Inside the seed, there will be embryo, stored food, and a seed coat. So, seed coat is a protective coating. The outer coating is known as seed coat. Here it is shown in brown color. That is the seed coat. So, here you can see the covering of the seed or seed coat. This is a seed coat, and inside there is embryo. Then there are two cotyledons. In some, only one cotyledon will be there. Here you can find two cotyledons. And there is a future embryo. The cotyledons store food for the growing embryo. So what is the function of the cotyledons? They store food. Food is stored in the cotyledons. What for? To provide nourishment to the growing embryo. They provide food to the embryo when it needs it during germination. The embryo has two parts. An upper part which is known as plumule. The upper part is known as plumule. And plumule is the future shoot. Future shoot. Future shoot means which will develop into the shoot system in the adult plant. Whereas on the lower end, you can see a structure which you call as radicle, not radical, it is radicle. Radicle develops into the root system. So radicle can also be called as future root. Plumule on the upper side, because stem always grow from the or in the upward direction and roots are growing downwards. So plumule is a future shoot. Radicle is a future root. Plumule develops into the shoot system. Radicle develops into the root system. So once again, the different parts I will explain. A seed has got cotyledons, embryo, and a protective covering known as seed coat. Seed coat, embryo, and also seed coat, embryo, and stored food or cotyledons. And cotyledons will store food inside. Food is stored inside the cotyledons. Why food is stored in the cotyledons? To provide nourishment for the growing embryo. When the embryo is growing, when the seed is germinating, they will take up nutrients from these cotyledons. Okay. Now next, the embryo has two pointed parts. The upper part is known as plumule, which will develop into the shoot system. The lower part is radicle. It develops into the root system. Clear, children? Is it clear? I'm not getting any response.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can I stop sharing?
Ma'am, can you show the last slide?
Okay, all the slides I will show once again. Turn your videos on. Turn the videos on, please. Or else what I'll do is I'll just take a photo and post in the class group immediately. Not after the class, on the spot. Or else you turn, okay, Lena. Lena, repair it. Justin, Ashik, Roshan, Isha, Minha, Fizan. Photo is nice, but turn your video on. So what are the changes taking place in a flower after fertilization? Lakshmi Nanda, one change. Any one change you can say. What happens once fertilization is completed? When the question is asked, why do you turn the video off? You thought you can refer with the video off? I am here to help you. You speak.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell.
Can you ask the question once more?
What are the changes taking place? First, you show your face. Whom I should speak? Where are you?
Ma'am, my camera is on.
But I cannot see. So far, I was seeing you. After I gave you the question, you disappeared.
No, ma'am, my camera is on.
Can others see her? Can others see Lakshmi? Lakshmi, I can see your video is off. Why to say that? Now you have turned it on. See
No,
here,
it was on.
Lakshmi, here we have a provision to know whether it is on or not. Don't simply make excuses. I can see the list of participants. There I can see whether it is on or not. Will you say the answer or shall I proceed to someone else? We have no time to waste.
Ma'am, can you ask the question once more?
What are the changes taking place in a flower once fertilization is completed? Again went. Okay. Jerlin, let her find out the answer by then. Okay, Jerlin, you can say.
All the parts of the plant will shrivel and fall off.
You mentioned the parts.
Petals, stamen, stigma, style.
Okay. All that will shrivel and fall off. Then what happens after that shown? In which all parts changes are taking place?
The ovule develops a
The
tough
ovule will
develops a tough coat
Ah.
and gradually get converted into a seed.
Don't read and say. You say it in your own words. Repeat again.
The ovule develops a tough coat
And forms the seed. What is there inside the seed, Gauri? What is present inside the seed?
Future plant or embryo.
Future plant or embryo. What happens to the ovary, Minha? What happens to the ovary?
An ovary will grows rapidly and it ripens.
Ripens and forms what?
Fruit.
Fruit. Ovary becomes fruit, ovule becomes seed. And then we learned about the structure of a dicot seed. What are the three main parts that we discussed? Bastin, what are the three main parts of a seed? Yes, Bastin. I had been. Yes, embryo, correct. Then only embryo. From where do embryo gets nourishment? I think in spite. Okay, you may continue. Who was about to say Bastin? Embryo is there. Then
germination.
Louder.
Germination.
That is a part of the seed. Germination is a part of the seed. It's a process. Seed is having, seed is having different parts. You said embryo. Then what are the other parts of a seed? If you take some seed, some pulses if you take, or a green gram or a Bengal gram. So what are the parts it has got? Outer covering. What do you call the outer coating? The outer, see when I am explaining, what are you people doing? Are you writing it down? Where have you written, Bastin? You read what you have written. Let me see what you have written. Read. You haven't written, no? Which class you people are in? KG class? First standard? You're going to write the board exam in November. So casually you are sitting. I'm not telling only about Bastin. I know majority of you are not writing down the notes. And why should I waste my energy like this? Repeating again and again if you're not bothered. If you're not bothered to listen, why should I waste my energy? You have come here to watch movie, children? Or to attend the class? And that too, the way you are struggling to say the answer, as if I have asked something very difficult. From LP section, you are learning what are the parts of a seed. Shania, tell me what are the parts of a seed?
Seed coat.
Seed coat, that is a covering of the seed. Then, once you remove the seed coat, what are the things inside? Come on, let it be wrong, no problem, but you speak.
Seed coat, embryo coat.
Seed coat, embryo, and cotyledons. Very good. For saying this, what is the difficulty, children? There is a seed coat. You just visualize what happens if you take 1 gram seed, remove the seed, then you can see white or creamy structures, cream colored or creamy white, 2 parts. Those are cotyledons. Inside there is an embryo. And what are the, or what function do these cotyledons perform? What is the function, Adulya? What is the function?
Ma'am, I didn't got the class now. Only I got.
Where is your video, Fisan?
Ma'am,
Now you listen, okay? Atulya?
Yes, ma'am.
Ah.
There is food is stored in the cotyledon.
Why food is stored? For whom it is stored?
They supply food when the embryo
To
needs.
provide nourishment for the,
for embryo.
Embryo, to provide nourishment for the growing embryo. And what are the parts of an embryo? What are the parts of an embryo? Who will say? Arun, what are the 2 main parts of an embryo?
Plumule and radicle.
Very good. What is the function of plumule? What happens to plumule? Sania, what happens to plumule and radicle later?
It gives rise to shoot system.
Which one forms shoot?
Plumule.
Plumule. And what forms root?
Radical.
Radical.
Class.
Thank you, children. From next class onwards, we'll be starting revision.
Guide questions can we discuss?
That I have a plan how to do it. Okay, I will tell you the topic. You have to revise. So thank you, children. See you next class.